Welcome to BAM Football, Episode 3. Butner, Allen and McKenna. Boys, good to be back. Laurie, good morning to you. And you got the Australian shirt on?
Yeah, I thought after the poor defeat last week against Lebanon, I'd support the Socceroos and get behind my team.
Utes, I'm loving the look of this. This is the original jersey the Australians wore.
Yeah, the centenary jersey. They obviously wore this originally and wore this in the centenary test in 2008. So,
boys, what are your thoughts?
I'm flabbergasted. I can't believe it. Look, have a look at it. It's what, 1952, 1953 circa?
During my stunning AFL career, I managed to win one premiership. That was with the Coolangatta Footy Club on the Gold Coast. Under 18s, we had the perfect year, undefeated. Great footy club on the Gold Coast. Coolangatta is my BAM Club of the Week. All right, let's talk National Rugby League right now, and a couple of teams bowed out on the weekend, boys. The Cowboys went down in highly controversial circumstances against Manly, and Canberra went down against a rampaging South Sydney on the weekend. Butts, let's talk about that controversy first of all, with a couple of video refereeing decisions.
Oh, look, the first one I saw and I thought, I'm comfortable with the try to the winger.
George Tafua?
George Tafua, yeah. And he had a massive game, no doubt about it. A huge game, the young fella. So, I'm okay with the benefit of the doubt, and that's probably the reason why it was brought in. But the second one, I couldn't see what the video referees couldn't see, which everybody else did see, and that was Kieran Foran touching the ball. I guess, it cost the Cowboys a game. Manly were the better side, there's no doubt about that, but yeah, just the controversy. We've had it all year, and I think serious issues need to be addressed in relation to that area.
Laurie, football's resisted video technology?
Yeah, there's been trial pre-season sometimes in some countries, but FIFA at the moment said no. But in my belief, for goal line stuff and penalty decisions, because what happened at the weekend, it just goes on. They watch it and watch and watch it. I think they confuse themselves, because too many camera angles, and usually referees 9 times out of 10 get the decision right, but it's that once or twice they need to go to video referee, and they're complicating things too much, I think.
Michael, 25 words or less, should former players be up in the box?
Oh, look, I think it'll certainly help. They have a feel for the game, and I think there's probably a time frame that you should be in that role for. I don't think it's one of those things where, because you've done a good job for 3 years, that you actually keep that role. It's got to be a revolving door, and you get new people in who have just finished the game and have done their bit. So, don't think it's a cushy job where you stay there forever. It's a revolving door, I guess.
Boys, let's look at the two finals, and plenty of history between Manly and Melbourne. They played in the 2007 and 2008 grand finals, but more recently, the Battle of Brookvale. Michael, who wins and why?
Oh, look, I think Melbourne win. I think what they did last week was outstanding, or 2 weeks ago was outstanding. They just seem to be back on track where they need to be. The break will do them good. Manly, look, you know what? If they do win Manly, it's going to be an enormous effort, because they've had injuries, they've had suspensions, they've really had to work hard, and they just, I guess that's a trait that Manly have had over the last 5 years in terms of the way they've gone about this end of the season. So, but I think Manly can do the job, Melbourne can do the job on the back of Cronk, Slater, and of course Cameron Smith.
Starting to get the wind up from our producer, Butts, the Bulldogs versus South Sydney, aiming to break that record crowd from a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, in fact, 2009, Bulldogs versus Parramatta, went over 74,000 were at ANZ, and the Rabbitohs, they were fantastic last week against Canberra.
Oh, there's no doubt this is going to be a great game, and there's going to be plenty of fans there. 70,000 plus, there's no doubt about that. I'm excited about it, and I know that there's plenty of supporters out there who are. I just feel that the Bulldogs will be too good for this Rabbitohs side. My concern with the Rabbitohs is the fact that they've got to play their very best to beat the Bulldogs, and I don't necessarily think the Bulldogs have to play their very best to beat the Rabbitohs.
Bulldogs in Melbourne for Michael Butner. Laurie McKenna, who do you like?
After listening to Butts, I've never heard that analogy that they have to be at the top of the game to beat them. That was great, and I would agree. I'm not an expert in rugby league, but a good team, the top teams can get by, and I think you described it wonderfully well. And
Thank you very much.
I'm very impressed with it.
Time now for the focus on football, and let's go to the English Premier League and some big scorelines, Laurie. Arsenal 6-1 against bottom of the table Southampton. Gervinho a couple of goals, and he was subbed off in about the 74th minute. Man U 4-0 over Wigan, and what a performance by Paul Scholes. His 700th appearance. Ryan Giggs, his 600th. That's just amazing, boys.
I think that's credit to Alex Ferguson as well for his man management of these players over the years. You know, they don't flog them. You know, they put them in, rest them, bring them on as subs. But credit to these two players. Me and Butts were talking about it off camera, and an amazing job.
I don't understand how 700 games, like if they play 35, 40 games a year, you're talking 18, 19 seasons at the top level. Like, it's just that.
But these guys actually play up to 50 and 60 games with the European Cups and things. So these guys go through a lot of games.
Can you believe QPR? Just 2 points after 4 games, and they've held Chelsea to a draw.
Yeah, but these things, it was at home, you know, and you look at all the results over the weekend, there are a lot of draws. Very few teams win away from home in the English Premier League. So, you know, it is their little fortress, it's a tight ground, they make it difficult for Chelsea on the day. And you look at Man United, they have 4 second half goals they got. So they wore them out the first half. Then Scholes and these boys got down to their pace and taken control.
Laurie, the countdown is on. Man U versus Liverpool coming up.
Yeah, Liverpool's still struggling along at the bottom, but they've brought in a lot of new players. They're short of a striker. Another draw at the weekend, but you know, you don't know in these big games. Anything can happen in these big games.
You mentioned earlier about Jordan defeating the Socceroos. We're in a massive hole in these qualifiers for Rio. I think we're equal with 3 teams at the bottom, including Oman and Iraq.
Yeah, but the only positive thing, Archie Thompson scored again in that goal in the Mariners' Melbourne victory game at the weekend in Sydney. He scored, he chipped Matt Ryan with a great finish. So the good thing is for the A-League, Archie Thompson's back on song, but the Socceroos, they're struggling now. It's going to be very hard for them.
Is our problem with the Socceroos at the moment? We talk about you know, an older Socceroos side. Archie Thompson's not one of these young emerging players either. So, you know, he's the one that's been scoring goals recently, but he's still one of those, you know, at the other end of his career, so to speak.
He's 32, 33-year-old, exactly right. They keep talking about this team being the golden generation. Where's the next guys coming from? Is it Holman, James Holland, Budgie Boy? Is it these guys coming through? But they're not knocking the door down just now. So you have to feel sorry for the coach. He can only put in what he's got, and he's not got, the boys aren't performing at the moment.
Boys, one of the real highlights is the Matildas, and Laurie, you want to give them a rap?
Yeah, young Van Egmond, Gary Van Egmond's daughter was one of the stars. They had 5 teenagers playing against the USA. 20,000 people, sellout crowd in America, and that's a huge effort for the Matildas, who are sitting in the top 10 in the world, but the US are the best women's team in the world, so congratulations to young Emily Van Egmond.
And Laurie, 25 words or less, Del Piero touchdown. He's like a rock star, this guy. Has he paid for himself already in terms of memberships, also merchandise?
I can answer that one question and say yes. You know, the place has gone berserk. They've cancelled the game at Budgie Boy at the weekend in case Del Piero even turns up in Budgie Boy. So because of safety thing, they've cancelled the game against Sydney FC. So I think it's outstanding for Australian sport, not just football.
Boys, time now for our BAM moment of the week. And as always, I'll kick this off with a couple. I can't go past Andy Murray. I loved it when he won the Olympic Games, but he's playing in an era where there's 2 of the best of all time, Federer and Nadal, and Djokovic is not far behind them. So to see him win at the US Open, that's a BAM moment of the week. My second one, not sure if you guys have seen this, a young 13-year-old went down to Shipstern Bluff in Tasmania and surfed 10-foot plus waves. He's from the Central Coast in New South Wales, Riley Lang. And he didn't just surf it on the edge, he was getting shacked off his brain. And that's my second BAM moment of the week. Utes?
Yeah, my BAM moment of the week. Obviously the Kincumber Colts. I played with them last year. We got the wooden spoon. They come back and won the premiership this year in the first grade. So to the Kincumber Colts, you've done it. BAM!
My BAM moment of the week is Wyoming Tigers in all 3 grades of Central Coast football last weekend and won all 3 grades. So well done, Wyoming, and that's my BAM moment of the week.
Laurie, you had another one as well. It's got to be Scholesy, 700.
Yeah, only 700 games. He's probably got another season left in him yet, but an amazing achievement for a great athlete.
What is the record in the EPL?
No idea. A lot.
AFL boys, and this week they named the All-Australian team, and Gary Ablett Jr. and also Dean Cox, the ruckman from West Coast, who had a superb season, both made the All-Australian team for the 6th time, which is amazing. They always talk about some of the players that missed out. Hawthorn's Sam Mitchell. He's averaging 27 touches this season, a little bit down from his career best of 30 in 2011. And Matthew Pavlich, the Fremantle champion, They both missed out. Butts, what are your thoughts?
Mate, you'll always get this when we're at selections and players that missed out. Jake Rewalt, who was the Coleman medalist, the leading goal scorer in the AFL, he misses out also. That's just the way it is, and obviously the selection panel felt that this is going to be the best side based on their performances throughout the whole
Probably
season.
the best team.
Yes.
So it's not individuals, it's about the team. They've picked a squad, and any national squad, there are always people upset who's left out. And then I agree with Butts, it's the best team that they've picked for those games.
Boys, what about the Collingwood Footy Club? This week they've decided every single player to go to John McCarthy's funeral. Of course, a tragic accident in Las Vegas last week. That's a massive statement from Collingwood about one of their former teammates.
Oh, look, I think there's no question that they'll be attending that, and I think it'll spur the players on this week. They're going up against the Swans team in Sydney, so it's a big ask for the Magpies. They are up against it, and this may be what they need to inspire them.
Let's get your tips, boys. Collingwood, they won 11 of their last matches against Sydney, including 7 at ANZ Stadium. But I think Sydney looked pretty good there after having the week off. Your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I'm going with the Swans. Obviously just the hometown thing, and I just think they're going to be too strong for the Magpies and get the job done.
Yeah, I'm going for the Swans as well. It doesn't matter about the record. There'll be a huge crowd, over 70,000 at home. Great weekend for Sydney Swans.
Boys, that's a wrap. Bam, episode 3, done and dusted. Hand in.
We're doing okay, aren't we, boys? We're going all right.
Thanks to our production team, 13 minutes last week, and thanks to everyone who watched. We can stop holding hands
I
now.
was getting a little bit excited then.
We'll catch you next week for BAM episode 4, right here on YouTube.